Welcome to April's Garage, the greatest automotive channel in all of YouTube land. And right here, 1989 Corvette, just the iconic American sports car. And our friend Eurasian Bob has it for sale for $12,995. And for the life of me, I don't understand why C4s are so cheap. It just blows my mind.
Well, there's one big reason.
Okay.
That was really low, actually. It was kind of like, geez. A little lightheaded.
Did you pull a hamstring?
Well, I don't know, but they made 350,000 C4 Corvettes.
Right.
A lot of C4 Corvettes.
Yeah, but they made almost that many of the C3.
They did, but the C3 had some really good performance versions before everything went to heck in the mid-70s. Okay. So there's some really good early 70s C3 Corvettes when it comes to engines. By the C4, performance it was a good chassis, but the engines were. I guess by this year, that two-port injection engine was okay, but
so are you telling me you're not into these?
I'm really not a C4 guy. What? I've never owned one. I guess when I had my dealership, I bought a few for inventory, but yeah, I've never owned one. I've never been into it. I've had a C5, I've had a C6, I've had a C8,
right.
Had the other first two generations of Corvettes, but yeah, never a C4.
Well, now could be your chance because Bob is selling it. Not for you? Well, you know what? You did say the meanest thing to me that you ever said earlier today, that I should trade this for my Grand Camino. And it broke my heart. That was the worst thing you've ever said.
Well, you paid $25,000 for that.
Yeah.
That'd be something I would do. I mean, that stonks for me.
No, shall we do a little tour?
Okay. All right, you ready for me to spit some mad Corvette boomer facts? Because I have to memorize these for Barrett Jackson.
You do. Are you familiar with
Yes, first year of the C4. What year?
84?
84, you got it. Crossfire fuel injection, 1 year only. Yeah, not very good.
What about 83? What happened in 83?
What happened in 83? They had the Crossfire and those weird transition years, but there was no Corvettes, no Corvette
there
model at all.
There you go, exactly.
So, yes, they jumped forward to 1984, but in 1986, the convertible was back. And that was a big deal because in 1975, they dumped the convertible altogether. Apparently it wasn't safe enough, so you could just get a T-top car, but no more Corvette convertible out of the C3. So that's a 11, 12-year gap before it was brought back. And I think of all the body styles, the convertible C4, it looks the best. Maybe just because it looks like the Barbie Corvette to me.
It totally does. And I don't know why, but when people joke around about saying like midlife crisis Corvette, this C4 is the body style that first comes to mind.
Right.
But yeah, but it's cool because it does have the hardtop. So it feels like you're getting two cars in one.
Yes, and the soft top as well, which is white, because everything else is red. Red hardtop, red interior, white soft top, which I guess makes sense if you're going to do some kind of contrast. But in 1989, you had a decent engine, the twin-port injected 350 there, so no Crossfire, no goofiness, so finally some performance.
Right.
The LT1 was another big performer. The ZR1 is the legend, though. But they didn't do that in convertibles. I guess there is one C4 that I would own, and that's the Callaway Corvettes, where he did the twin turbos. He had the sledgehammer that went like 250, 60 miles an hour, so it was faster than a McLaren F1 in the 80s.
Seriously, it was?
Oh, yeah.
That's
super,
wild.
incredibly fast. And they sold those, they're pretty collectible, but still, I think for the speed and all the magazine covers, they're only like $40,000, $50,000 cars.
That's
and
wild.
I think, like C4s, they're just so cheap. This one, I think, is 60,000 miles or so. It's in really nice shape. I mean, a few little things cosmetically here and there, but overall, just a nice survivor. Like that fuel door there.
It's a really interesting spot, and I really don't get how it could be under $13,000. Because then, like, don't you price stuff and then you negotiate and you walk out the door? Like, how much is it going to really be? And these are so cheap for this really cool, iconic car.
Like I said, a lot of them, 300,000+ of them, and Corvette owners. For the most part, they really do have high asking prices. You'll see on the internet, they'll narrow it down. My one of 350,000 Corvettes built is a one of one because of this, and that. And look at my New Balances and all that stuff. And I want $30,000 for it. And then they never sell. And then the owner finally dies and the estate sells it. And finally, like a dealer like Bob will ask a reasonable price for it. And then you can finally buy one. But there's probably 1,000, 2,000+ of these for sale right now.
Right.
I would guess maybe at minimum. And yeah, not many with the reasonable price. But Oh, this is the good spec with the cluster. Yeah.
It's really cool. The seats are all bolstered in leather and very comfortable looking. I don't know, they call that like the bread box that sticks out.
Right.
Is that your airbag?
That's not an airbag yet. It's like something to hit your head against, like a pillow, I guess, because there's no driver's side airbag yet. That's not mandated until like 93 or something like that. 95 for dual airbags. Okay. So, yeah, that means... Yeah, the seat's very low, but I think very comfortable. And let's try and pop the hood before we get too crazy.
The clamshell hood is so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how to open these. Is there a lever in there?
I don't think so. They just go up.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
And you can see it does have a very nice suspension setup on it. And that's why you saw a lot of old Rodden custom creations back in the 90s and 2000s using C4 suspension frame setup.
Does it seem like it's sitting back a little more?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it mid-engine because it is still on the wheels, but it's definitely sat as far back as possible. You can see the intake right there and the radiator, so a lot of space, but yeah, a very tidy looking engine bay. The batteries on these, kind of a pain to change. You can see there's a lot in the way here. I think this is the pod for the cruise control. And then, the batteries are underneath, the panel has to come off, so it's a bit of a thing.
This is very cool. I love it. Of course, the pop-up headlights hiding under there. That's just iconic Corvette to the core.
Okay, down you go. April, go ahead and hop in and fire it up.
We're in Kansas, baby.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like
Great
that.
burble. Yeah. The coolest part, though, is the cluster. It is the best cluster of the C4 bunch, isn't it?
It's so cool. It looks very high-tech for the time when it came out, probably. It's sort of that, like, liquid crystal display.
Yeah, give it a little rev. Isn't that neat? And then you have switches to go back and forth. So right now it's set to oil pressure, but then I can switch it to oil temperature, which it is low. It's not even warmed up yet. You can see the coolant temperature is creeping up, but we can switch to battery volts as well. All back and forth here. Trip odometer versus range, fuel range. Instant fuel economy versus average, which is 21.2 mile per gallon average on this thing. Isn't that impressive?
Bad.
These cars are just so aerodynamic. Corvette's claim to fame is surprising fuel efficiency, especially with the later generations. Oh yeah, you see that?
Is that a radar detector?
That is an old school radar detector, yes.
That's perfect for this car.
Mm-hmm. The head unit obviously isn't original. Hopefully you can change the color back to green to match. I assume you can, but
so
yeah.
Is this all original?
Yeah, oh yeah, these are the seat adjustments, which are sort of tucked in inside of there. Yep.
Whoa, okay. These seats are really comfortable.
They're ridiculously
I would
comfortable.
use this in the living room.
Yeah.
This is great. These are like gamer chairs right here, and this looks like a gamer sort of console area right here.
Yeah, and pull that little switch right there. Yes, pull that out. Because that's the pop-up headlights.
It's so futuristic.
Yes. And unfortunately, one thing we do have to do is put the top up if we're going to drive, because the audio would be tough. So I can show how that works. It's actually pretty easy.
You're saying you have to leave your shirt on, because I think it'd be better if you took it off.
Nobody wants to see that.
Take the top.
No, you first.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all manual. Actually, an electric button there. So then the top goes up, down to you. I'll let you do the levers. And then this clicks down. Then we click in here. Got to be careful not to scratch the paint. You know, it's not too cramped with the top up. The seats are ridiculously comfortable.
How could we ask Bob if we could just buy the seats? Is that a thing? Ooh.
And the air conditioning's nice and cold, so it's not uncomfortable in here with the top up and windows up. And everything seems to be working just fine, even though it's totally original and 62,000 miles. They're just built well mechanically, suspension-wise. The fiberglass body, you know, they tend to get some spiderweb cracking,
You can say
and things.
crapping.
Yeah, yes.
That word works too.
The tilt steering wheel is pretty cool on this. I think that's makes it telescope, right? No? Okay, let's cut that out. Never mind.
We need some WD-40.
Never mind.
It's just such an 80s look. It's like very boxy.
Right.
This looks iconic 80s right here.
Yeah, and then it's like a missile silo when things go wrong here with all the warning lights. But here's something that's going to drive you crazy. I'll switch it from English to metric and watch the cluster go cuckoo.
Oh no. Did they ship these overseas?
Oh yeah, they sold them all over the world.
Really? Okay.
And you can just switch back and forth depending on which country you go to.
Wow. But I don't know why we're separate, like why there's metric and US or whatever it's called.
You don't speak American when you're in America.
Like why can't we all agree on a similar measurement?
Now you got to realize the people watching this video all excited about C4s are going to be very offended by what you just said. They're the ones that actually say speak American and things. But,
That's true.
I do think that this car, given a chance, could have a broader appeal with younger people like us that maybe weren't around with the C4 Corvette. I know my mom got one brand spanking new in 1984, a red one.
I think you should get her this.
My dad actually surprised her on her birthday, and she had to trade in her 78 Trans Am, which she cried as she was dropping it off, and they got the 84 Corvette. And then she got pregnant with me, and they had to get rid of the Corvette and buy a big old conversion van.
Oh no.
So yeah, what a thing. Go ahead and floor it.
Oh yeah.
Sounds good.
It sounds fantastic.
You're going way above the speed limit.
Oh, wait, sorry.
It actually gets up and goes pretty good.
This is so neat. This is really fun. I've never driven a C4 Corvette, and it feels like an older car still. It's a little kind of janky and cluttery.
Sorry,
like
Bob.
You can hear the clunking.
Sorry,
Bob.
Bob.
Oh yeah, no. This is the best car I've ever driven. You'd be lucky if you'd buy it.
It is still old crude, I would say, is what is the word you're looking for. Kind of like a first generation Dodge Viper that is, well, this thing's a lot more refined than that, but still the feeling of it is kind of crude because it is a pretty basic vehicle underneath.
So when you see one of these, what comes to mind? Like, what do you think? Are you judging people when they're driving a bright red C4 Corvette?
Well, I've never seen somebody that doesn't have white hair driving one.
That was awful.
And they get out and they're in jean shorts most of the time.
Shorts.
Yeah, exactly. So you buy one and you're sort of stuck with that stereotype. But like I said, that generation's getting a little up there, so there needs to be buyers to replace the 300 and something thousand of these that were made. So yeah, really hit it. Come on.
All right.
And I do think for the money, so it didn't kick down there, you really need to hit the kick down on it. There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
That's nice. I, for Halloween, want to be a one-of-one Corvette owner. I don't. This isn't a one-of-one, but perhaps I could give it some upgrades.
I'm sure Bob has some sheet to where the white top makes it one of.
Oh, see?
I'm sure Bob has researched it in whatever way, but like I said, he's not asking a lot for this car. $12,995. You get a sports car, a bright red, fun sports car convertible, and in this day and age, like, you can't buy a nice car, period, for $12,000 these days.
No, this is way cooler than any new car on the road. This is so fun. It has a lot of style. I kind of feel like we're like doing a car ad right now. Like for Bob, like Bob is hired. Bob did not hire us.
No,
we
he did not
asked
pay
him
us
to drive this car because it's just a neat car that is very iconic. You see them all over the place, and it's nice to take a closer look at them. You would choose this over a C3 though, with the sexy swoopy body lines?
It depends on the year, but I think so. Like, if I had to pick like a late 70s, early 80s C3, or by this year, late 80s, early 90s C4, it'd be C4 for sure.
Okay, but your pick overall, every Corvette ever, which generation is at the top?
I really do miss my C8 Z06.
Okay.
And then the second generation, that 427 Nassau Blue one I had, really something.
Yeah.
But I do really like the charm of the first generation Corvette. That 62, I just love the way it looks. It drives pretty well.
Right.
It's reasonably comfortable. So I'm happy with what I got, my 62.
It's gorgeous. I'd say my favorite, 63 split window, the C2. And it still looks modern today. This is very cool.
So you're not going to use your house money to buy this one with your Gran Camino?
I think he has a teal one. A teal C4. Original color,
That's pretty cool.
right?
All right, well, you're turning in where they're redoing the concrete in the driveway.
Should I not?
Well, we might end up buying this Corvette. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. But 1989, you had a decent engine, the twin-port injection. But in 19...